The Green Berets are heading to Mexico for a special mission. News Nation's Jorge Ventura is joining us live with a look at what they're doing and how it's supposed to fortify our border. Jorge.
In touch, we are now learning that a U.S. Special Forces 7th Group, also known as Green Berets, will be headed to Mexico to train Mexico's Marine infantry. And they'll also be training those Marines in two types of combat, conventional and non-conventional types. Those U.S. troops will be arriving in Mexico fully armed. That training between the two countries is set to begin tomorrow and last until March 30th. Now, this training between the two countries does come at a time as the U.S. government continues to pressure Mexican officials to crack down on cartels.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the show. So you shouldn't be surprised by that headline because Green Berets are doing operational preparation of the environment or foreign internal defense, collecting information, building networks, building rapport, and also building that relationship that's important to do bilateral operations in counterterrorism. That's why it's important. More importantly, we're preparing the American citizen. Because you see, when terrorists are designated, a line of title and authorities, including funding and the allocation of assets, come together where you have Northcom now, who's seemingly been out of the fight for a long time, for at least the last 4 years, stepping up to the plate. Well, let's go into this next news report on the CIA.
Armed drones are among the most precise and lethal weapon systems in the American arsenal. And tonight, 6 U.S. officials briefed on the matter tell NBC News the Trump administration is considering using drone strikes against the Mexican drug cartels that are importing deadly fentanyl into the United States. The officials told us no final decisions have been made, and they said the administration is hoping for Mexico's cooperation. But they say it has not ruled out unilateral action.
All right, so as reported by this and also the New York Times, CIA expands secret drone flights over Mexico. Again, I don't think that's unintentional. The difference with the leaking of the information here to the media, which is very deliberate, and also the calculated, detailed information on what the CIA is doing, including the number of missions they conducted over a 10-day period, which happened to be 18. The number of Reapers, even, that they're utilizing, which happens to be 6. And we have the A team of cabinet members that are willing, able, and even decentralizing authorities to combatant commanders. My only concern is the Northcom commander is an Air Force guy, but that's another story. So what I think is taking place is a phased operation to educate the American public, to get them used to, through the media, what's taking place. Now, allegedly, the president of Mexico has said it wouldn't be appropriate for unilateral operations to take place like Reaper or Predator drone strikes inside of Mexico. But there's a caveat. In conjunction with host nation bilateral operations, that could be a part of the strategy. So if a CIA Reaper is collecting intelligence and information, they're reporting that to the Mexican authorities, and then they have time-sensitive information to target, meaning to drop a bomb on a bad guy or they'll lose the opportunity, then that's the first precursor to evolving the fight against the cartel. Now, do I think that's going to happen? The answer is yes, it's going to happen. Let's look a little bit at the statistics of the murder rate in Mexico, just so you understand how dangerous Mexico is. According to 2023 statistics, because stats are always late, you had 31,000 homicides in Mexico with a population of 126 million. That's about 25 people per 100,000. That's a lot, guys. Compared to the United States, 21,000 homicides over 335 million, or about 6 people per 100,000. So Mexico has a 4x on murders in their country. Most of those murders from the cartels. The estimates on the cartels right now is there are 9 major cartels, designated foreign terrorist organizations, and those 9 major cartels include up to, and this is estimates, 200,000 members. Now at peak, that is about the number of ISIS members that were at peak in the global war on terror and the fight in Syria and Iraq. That is a lot of bad guys. Now, recently there was a report where Mexico, handing us a gift on a silver platter, delivered in a Gulfstream, which is the last time these cartel members will have anything luxurious with bags on their heads, 29 cartel members. Now, I think the Mexican government wants to show that they're cooperating. But I also think the progressive Mexican president might just have a little bit of an opportunity and maybe a little bit of motivation and the willingness to actually leverage the might of the Defense Department, the CIA, and all the intelligence community times 17 organizations under Tulsi Gabbard to be able to leverage those assets to go after these cartels. Now, for sure, like many countries that Green Berets and special operations guys are stationed throughout the world, there's going to be the host nation face. I've been on operations before where we didn't even acknowledge there were Americans on the operation, and it was a unilateral operation when it was mostly ran by Americans. In fact, I think the host nation was sitting in a vehicle somewhere at a blocking position. But the reason this is significant is because this shadow war is coming to the surface. Also, if you're a member of the military and you belong to U.S. Army Special Operations Command or Joint Special Operations Command, this is the time, this is the place in history because you boys are about to go to work. Now, each of the 5 major special forces groups, 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 10th, belong to specific theaters of command, CENTCOM, AFRICOM, EUCOM, etc. NORTHCOM hasn't got a lot of attention really until now. Now, a lot of this I'm going to cover in the underground because I have a lot of details, including my time spent working with NORTHCOM and getting sit reps from the Mexican cartel intelligence collected. But this is the preparation of not only military forces staging, intelligence collecting, and developing HVT target decks, but this is also the beginning phases of a shadow war that's likely going to become an overt war. That's why I talk a lot about these details in the underground on my Patreon. That's linked down below. Lastly, let me just give you my opinion on the Commanders in Extremis Force that I used to be a member of, just in case the Secretary of Defense is listening. So the Commanders in Extremis Force that got reclassified to the Crisis Response Force, then got reclassified to some kind of arbitrary unit and U.S. Special Forces Command should be brought back. And here's my argument for why. One, the reason it got disbanded is because of jealous commanders who didn't have operational control. You see, each major group, 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 10th, and obviously you have the reserve components, 19th and 20th, that filled the gaps. Each one of these groups had a specialized reinforced company with enablers and assets that did hostage rescue, counterterrorism, foreign internal defense, special reconnaissance, counterproliferation, the list goes on and on. But the reason they were disbanded is because Special Forces Command didn't have control. I saw it during my entire career as a Special Forces assaulter, breacher, sniper, reconnaissance team sergeant, and standing up C-210, the AFRICOM commanders in Extremis Force. Within these companies, you have specialized Green Berets who have specialized skill sets, including Sephardic, which is our CQB school, Special Forces Sniper Course, Free Fall. The list goes on. As a minimum standard operating procedure, your guys have to meet those qualifications. When I was a reconnaissance team sergeant, you had to be Sephardic, SODIC, or SFSC qualified, and Free Fall qualified with experience on a normal ODA before you can come to my team. That's super important when you're conducting counterterrorism, foreign internal defense. Because if you're conducting raids by, with, and through, then you could augment the force with those specialized skills. A normal ODA, which I was on a mountain team in 3rd group before I went to the Commanders in Extremis Force, is very important. Again, if anybody's listening, and I hope the commanders who have former CRIF or CIF time are fighting this campaign, please, please, please reinstate the Commanders in Extremis Force. You need these specialized teams on the ground just in case. because the SMU can't be everywhere at once. That relationship being built is like a local SWAT team working with a regional or FBI HRT. It's imperative. These guys are geographical located. And as a guy who grew up in the SIF and believes in that mission set and seeing it disbanded because of politics and mostly because of jealousy, I would love to see that reinstated. Not like I have any skin in the game. I'm a former action guy. Guys, I'm headed to the underground to talk about how this particular situation turns into a major campaign and potentially affecting you in the United States. Till next time, peace.